Violence on the TTC. This time, a bus driver is shot with a BB gun.
It takes a certain amount of time to recover physically, but the psychological impact, it can take a long period of time to recover.
The transit union demands better protections for operators and riders. Plus,
as a parent, it's crushing. It's absolutely soul crushing.
Nearly 12,000 children are on a wait list for surgeries across Ontario. Officials at 4 major pediatric hospitals say it's part of a much bigger problem and they need help from the province.
I think a lot of adoptees can feel really isolated in that experience.
It is officially the year of the rabbit. We'll introduce you to a group of Asian Canadians celebrating together for the first time.
This is CBC Late Night News.
Thanks for joining us. The union representing Toronto transit workers is once again demanding the TTC and City do more to keep operators and riders safe. This after a driver was shot with a BB gun waiting to start her shift. Tyler Cheese has more on that. Plus, he spent the evening talking with commuters who are increasingly uneasy and reluctant to ride the TTC.
This intersection at Markham Road and Progress Avenue in Scarborough is one of the latest sites of violence on the TTC. Shortly before 6:30 p.m. Saturday, a black sedan drove by and shot a TTC driver waiting to start her shift. The operator did not suffer any serious physical injuries.
It takes a certain amount of time to recover physically, but the psychological impact, it can take a long period of time to recover. And we want the TTC and the city to recognize that these incidents occurring do have an impact on people. We're providing all the support that we can to the individual, and we hope the TTC does the same.
Mayor John Tory has also condemned the incident, tweeting, "Transit operators keep our city running 24/7, and they must be safe and feel safe at all times while they do their job." There have been a number of violent acts on the TTC in the past year, leaving those who use the transit system regularly feeling uneasy.
Especially as a young woman, it's really scary to be on the subway right now, especially alone. My friends and I, most nights, we decide to do Uber pools instead. There's just been too much crazy stuff going on.
I do worry. It's definitely an uncomfortable place on a day-to-day ride, whether at the streetcar or the subway. There's not much security or patrolling happening, right? And so I guess us passengers, we're left to fend for ourselves, pretty much.
Somebody knocked me over from the back, reached into my pocket and took my cell phone.
This TTC bus driver shared her story back in December. A survey done by the transit union found 73% of respondents reported experiencing violence on the job. The union president once again calling on the transit service and the city to implement better protections to keep both workers and riders safe.
Listen to the people that are the eyes and ears of the system. We as transit workers report on incidents. We want those incidents to be acted upon.
CBC Toronto reached out to the TTC, but the transit agency declined to comment as the police investigation is ongoing. Earlier this month, it announced plans to hire 25 new transit special constables as part of this year's budget. Tyler Cheese, CBC News, Toronto.
And Toronto police are looking for a suspect after a teenage girl was allegedly assaulted on a TTC bus Saturday night. Police releasing these photos today of the suspect. They say it happened on a bus leaving Kipling Station and that the man allegedly sat next to the girl and sexually assaulted her. Anyone with information is asked to come forward. Safety on the TTC, it's a concern for so many people right now. Coming up, we'll share some tips for you from the TTC and riders that can help you stay as safe as possible. Well, if you happen to travel through King and University, you may want to find another way tomorrow. You remember that broken water main break we showed you last night? Well, the City of Toronto says that intersection will remain closed for about 2 weeks. Pedestrians can access the sidewalks on the west side. The subway, good news, is running again, but the repair work will sideline the King streetcars, so shuttle buses are running instead. Children's hospitals across Ontario are asking the province for help. They're dealing with a backlog of surgeries, some 12,000 names long. One parent is hoping her son's experience will draw more attention to the issue.
So he requires an additional surgery, which we were hoping to happen. But of course, the pandemic hit later that year. So yeah, we've now been waiting. How do we plan things and when is it going to happen?
4 major children's hospitals say the backlog is due to a surge of viral respiratory illnesses which overwhelmed them. Now about half of the kids are waiting beyond the clinically recommended wait times. In a statement to the Canadian press, a spokesperson said Ontario's Health Minister Sylvia Jones is, quote, in constant communication with pediatric hospital CEOs and has offered the government's full support to do what we can to ramp up their capacity. 12 people are out of their homes tonight after an early morning fire. It happened near Davenport and Old Weston Road. When crews arrived just before 2 this morning, the blaze had spread from the basement to the roof and attic. It took firefighters almost 2 hours to get the flames under control. Fortunately, no one was hurt. Well, turning to the U.S. next and all the questions that remain in California right now, mainly why a gunman opened fire, killing at least 10 people during what should have been a time of celebration, Lunar New Year. Cameron McIntosh has some relief. The suspect is no longer a threat.
The suspect surrounded in this van. Police waited, watched, and planned.
Our sheriff's SWAT team approached and cleared the van and determined the suspect sustained a self-inflicted gunshot wound and was pronounced dead at the scene.
Police say this man, 72-year-old Hu Can Tran, opened fire with an assault pistol in this dance studio, leaving 5 men and 5 women dead at the scene and more wounded. Less than 30 minutes later, police say he went to another dance hall where he was disarmed and fled in a white van. Hours later, police pulled him over south of Los Angeles.
During the search, several pieces of evidence were found inside the van linking the suspect to both locations in Monterey Park in Alhambra.
What was the motive for this shooter? Did he have a mental illness? Was he a domestic violence abuser? How did he get these guns? And was it through legal means or not?
Monterey Park is more than 65% Asian. This weekend, thousands were out celebrating the Lunar New Year.
I have confidence that we will get over this crisis because we must. And we will only do so if we do it together as a community.
This is the deadliest shooting in the U.S. since the Uvalde school massacre in Texas last May.
Yet another community has been torn apart by senseless gun violence. All of us in this room and in our country understand this violence must stop.
One familiar refrain after another.
Thoughts and prayers to all the families involved in this. It's a horrible incident for our county.
Beyond the immediate tragedy of so many lives lost, this is the 33rd mass shooting involving 4 or more people and the 5th mass killing in this country so far this year. It's only 3 weeks in. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Washington.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and NDP leader Jagmeet Singh are among the Canadian leaders expressing condolences to the victims. Trudeau says the shooting casts a shadow over Lunar New Year events.
Support for the community in California that is reeling right now after the horrific news coming out last night in Monterey Park. We, of course, will be there for whatever kind of support Canada can offer, but our hearts go out to all the communities and the families of the loved ones who were affected by this terrible incident around New Year's celebrations.
It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking that during a celebration as important as the Lunar New Year, where families come together, where it is such an important time of the year, to have an attack like that we've seen in California is heartbreaking. My thoughts and are with the families of the victims right now, and we want to know what happened there.
To northern Ontario now, where a light earthquake hit earlier today. According to Earthquakes Canada, the 2.8 magnitude earthquake hit around 2:17 p.m., about 22 kilometers northeast of Sudbury. Earthquakes less than a 3.5 in magnitude are generally not felt, according to the federal agency's website. Some light snow in the city today. While the flurries are expected to clear overnight, there is a special weather statement in effect for some pretty big snowfall that could be coming. Sophia telling us last night it could be, 10 to 20 depending where you live. It looks pretty right now, Sophia, but I guess that's all about to change, isn't it?
Yeah, it looked like a winter wonderland out there today. Nice to see so many people out there enjoying it. There will be more of that vein if that's what you like, Shannon. You alluded to it perfectly. How does 10 to 20 centimeters potentially sound? Anywhere really from Windsor right up to Ottawa. Here's what we do know. We do know that this will be a significant snow event. There will be travel impacts both to the Wednesday evening and the Thursday morning commute, and we also know that there will be whiteout and blowing snow conditions. Look at this. We've plotted the timing of that heavy to moderate snow along with the timing of the peak wind gusts that could be blowing 60 to 70 kilometers an hour. What the biggest question mark is though right now is the snow amount. So models are agreeing in that 10 to 20 centimeters, especially along that 401 and 407 corridor. The only big question mark, though, is for those of you in Toronto, Hamilton, and all the way around to Niagara, where the temperatures off that warmer lake water are just a couple of degrees warmer than that perfect snow-making temperature. So it could be the difference, just a degree or two, between snow and a wintry mix for millions, really, or thousands right around that Golden Horseshoe area. So more on the amounts later on in the long range. We'll also talk a little bit about the track. Right now it is definitely looking like a cold and snowy system, but it's still a few days out. Could shift to be more of a wintry mix for many more, Shannon. In the next few days, we'll have some cold and some flurries as well. So quite a wintry week after really not much this January.
I was going to say, yeah, after all the rain, it's time for some winter. We'll talk to you soon.
We'll see you soon.
It's now officially the Year of the Rabbit. Lunar New Year celebrations taking place across Ontario this weekend. Clara Pasica spent the day with some Asian Canadians, some of them celebrating the holiday for the first time.
Throngs of people take in the Chinese dragon roaming the streets of Toronto's Chinatown. But for Chinese-born Canadian Mika Clark, who was adopted into a white Ontario family and never really celebrated Lunar New Year, the sights and sounds are new.
Especially a lot of us have white parents. There's a very niche population. It's really nice to be surrounded by and supported and connected with people who have that kind of population, who is exploring, sensitive identity, who explores cultural, not misidentity, but missing that opportunity to explore the Asian culture that we were born in.
The outing was created by the Asian Adoptees of Canada, the brainchild of Korean-born Canadian Leah Kim Brighton.
I think a lot of adoptees can feel really isolated in that experience because it is so distinct and unique, and not, I think, a very, let's say, unusual experience that a lot of other people can't really understand or identify with. So I think importantly, the sense of family, but a family in the sense of community, and knowing that there are others that have this shared experience of being transracially adopted and exploring their culture and community, say, for the first time.
But the best part about celebrating Lunar New Year together for many of the attendees? Dim sum.
For the longest time, it's I struggled with, where do I belong? I didn't grow up in a very diverse area with a lot of Asian representation, and so sometimes you feel caught in between. My mom, she's Jewish, and so I was raised a little bit Jewish, but then again in a predominantly white area. So I feel with the adoptee community, finally feeling this is a place where I 100% belong, and I don't feel I'm not enough Asian or not enough Jewish.
Attendees tell us when it comes to finding out more about your culture, it's never too late. Clara Pasica, CBC News, Toronto.
Turning to some sports news now, it may only be the opening golf tournament of the year, but a Canadian is already in mid-season form.
But another winning result. Brooke Henderson has won for the first time in the state of Florida.
Yes, that's Brooke Henderson of Smith Falls, Ontario. The superstar golfer has won the LPGA Tournament of Champions. It's the 13th victory of her professional career, extending her record for the most ever wins by a Canadian golfer, woman or man. And she's just 25 years old. Way to go, Brooke. Stay with us. We're heading into a quick commercial break. Returning to our top story tonight, more violence on the TTC after a bus driver was shot with a BB gun this weekend. The union and riders demanding better protections.
Well, definitely put more people on the tracks. The last time I was at Dundas, there was multiple violent events happening at the same time. There was a man exposing himself to women, while there was also someone arrested with 6 different police officers on the tracks.
This is just the latest in a series of violence on the transit system. In December, the union issued a number of recommendations, including better management and support for employees, to protective barriers and better coordination with special constables. So what are you doing to stay safe? And what about the TTC? Here's a closer look with Chris Glover.
It can feel impossible to protect yourself from random, unprovoked attacks, but the TTC says there are ways to stay as safe as possible. First up, cameras are at every station and on every vehicle.
If you see something, say something.
Anticipate seeing more police and transit constables. 50 more constables will be patrolling across the system, and 10 more streets to homes outreach workers will be looking for people in distress. You can also download the TTC app and call police or report a suspicious incident in real time. Problem is, on the platform, you run into trouble. Generally speaking, though, the Transit Authority says avoid using your phone, and if you have your headphones in, keep the volume down low so you can hear your surroundings. A distracted rider is a vulnerable rider. Now, of course, there are long-standing, obvious safety features also worth repeating. On the platform, always stand back from the yellow edge. And speaking of yellow, press the yellow alarm strip above the windows if there is an emergency. When the alarm is activated, the subway is going to the next station. While that's happening, transit control staff will triage the situation and contact 911 if needed. If you ever have to call 911 and your phone won't work on the platform, these old guys still work, and the 911 dispatcher will know exactly where you are located. You can also press this emergency button. That'll go right to transit emergency officials, and it'll work even faster than calling 911. The TTC says while recent high-profile violent incidents have left some people feeling unsafe, the system moves hundreds of millions of passengers every year without incident.
Does the rarity of these situations give you a bit of comfort or not?
I mean, not so much, just because it's still happening, and it's even happening at stations that I get on and get off at, so that's really scary. So I would say it doesn't really bring ease to me until I see actual physical change around the world, how they have barricades or things like that just to prevent people from falling onto the track. So until I see stuff like that happening, I don't think I'll ever feel 100% safe.
Welcome back. It's being hailed as a first, an elite blind hockey tournament, and it's just wrapped up in Toronto.
Do we have fun?
Here's a look at the Carnegie Cup. You can hear the sound of the puck there. That's how the players know where it is. The Mercuries are the champions. Congrats, team. The tournament is part of an initiative to make hockey more inclusive. The series was hosted at the Mattamy Athletic Center. This next story is all about creating spaces for Muslim women and girls to learn, train, and play basketball. Crescent Sports Club is a not-for-profit organization, and it recently hosted a tournament in Mississauga with 140 women, from referees to photographers and spectators.
Crescent Sports Club as an organization started in 2021. I played basketball when I was younger. I still obviously love the sport, and I was looking for an avenue to play it. As I got older, I noticed that there were not a lot of opportunities available in a competitive environment. Where we're looking at our community, what we noticed is that our girls are really behind when it comes to competitive sports. So it's not that they don't want to play, it's that they never had the opportunities. And so we're trying to lay the grassroots work. So by focusing on women and showing women how sports benefits them, and the girls that come out, we have Friday night pickups, and these women are mothers. They leave, it's their me time. They come out and they play, and then adding the clinic portion and actually teaching them how to play. When they score, their faces light up, they're so happy, and they come back week after week. And then taking an extension of that, they're raising daughters, they're raising the next generation. So then they will then see the benefit it provided for them at an older age, because they never had an opportunity to play sports, and now they want their daughters. They ask us, when will you run clinics for our daughters? It's about changing the mindset of the community to show the benefits of sport.
You know, you have so many different, even like ethnicities within the Muslim community. And what we've created at Crescent Sports Club is something that is truly diverse and inclusive. We're seeing the community definitely grow, but now it's like, how do we take this community and elevate it to the next level? And I think we just equally share this like really strong passion for it. And we just have this great chemistry too, just from the get-go. We've been playing together.
It's just something inexplicable that sport and basketball has in my heart. And it's just this there's a spark that's lit again.
Love that
Awesome.
story and all that they're doing, right? So incredible.
Yeah, it's so important to make space and to lean in. And how many young girls are there watching that right now?
It's amazing, yes. And you're here with, the winter wallop that we've been waiting for.
The storm that everybody is talking about and that'll be on water coolers all across the area for the next couple days. It's this active jet stream we've been talking about, and this midweek feature film will really pull up a lot more Gulf moisture. It's a Texas low and it's gonna be a doozy, folks. And it's really setting us up for this active storm track for really this entire week and the final few days of January that will end much different than the month began. Really, the next few days feature some cooler temperatures and some flurries as well, but things really heat up after a shortwave trough comes in early Tuesday morning with some morning flurries. And then Wednesday evening is the big show. A few question marks, though, we talked about a little earlier in the show. One is the track. Right now, we're along this blue line with this Texas low, so the signatures are more cold and snowy. If this system goes a little bit more to the north, many more will have a wintry mix as opposed to the heavy snow. The other big question mark is for many of you around the Golden Horseshoe, where those warmer lake temperatures could maybe make a bit more of a bust situation as opposed to a boom. We need the cold for more of the snowmaker, but as we said, models are in agreement with that 10 to 20 centimeters, really anywhere from Windsor up to Ottawa, and whiteout and blowing snow conditions. So if anybody is a snow lover, you're gonna get a week to watch. Travel nightmares though, Wednesday evening and Thursday morning, Shannon.
You heard it here first, folks. A doozy. A doozy is on the way.
You know, when I say that, it's serious business.
You mean it, yes. Okay, thanks so much, Sophia. That's
You're
all
welcome.
good info to have. Have a great weekend. That's our show for you tonight. Thanks for being here with us. We're going to leave you now with some, wintry video. It was looking pretty innocent, pretty pretty out there earlier tonight compared to what's expected midweek. You heard Sophia there. Could be messy on the roads. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.